I want to talk to you today about the power of mindset. Now, there's a growing body of evidence which shows that how we think about ourselves and how we think about others deeply affects our behaviors, our performance, and even our physiology. Now, what I want to share with you today are new insights on something that I call the reflective mindset, and how such a reflective mindset can significantly improve your life. Now, I've been researching this topic for the last 7 years, but it's captivated me for even longer than that. I want to start with a personal story. As a kid, growing up was tough. Tough in a sense of not knowing who I was or where I belonged. I had parents of Spanish and English descent. I was raised Catholic, but I was given a very Arabic name. I'd lived in 6 different countries around the world, and I'd spoken 4 languages fluently by the age of 12. You would think, wow, that's great. But for me, I was facing a tremendous identity crisis. And oh my, the lengthy explanations I had to go through when I had to explain to people, when they told me, you don't look like your average Musa Ali. I'm like, yeah, I know. But, at an early age, that did, make me so determined to seek out some kind of familiarity and oneness with my environment that I was so determined to do anything to get it. Now, I remember one specific incident that happened to me, or when I was 10 years old. I remember that I snuck away from school one morning when we lived in Amsterdam because I wanted to go to the British consulate because I wanted to change my name and I wanted to change my passport. Why? Because I wanted to be more Dutch. I even remember the name that I wanted to give to myself. Jan Pieter Klaas. Jan Pieter Klaas was the most Dutch name that I could come up with. I even laugh about today, I even laugh about it today, the things that I used to do as a kid just to try to fit in. But it wasn't until later in life that I realized how influential and how great it was actually to have such a diverse upbringing and a diverse background. More so, how it was actually core to developing a reflective mindset. So, what's a reflective mindset and why is it important? I define a reflective mindset as a mindset with the ability to be able to both consciously and unconsciously react to changes effectively in the environment. Changes and challenges, I want to say. In other words, a mindset which is indicative of your ability to bounce back from adversity, your ability to bounce back from setbacks. Now, we all face setbacks in our lives, don't we? Breakups in relationships, losing jobs, maybe losing a loved one. But how come some people are able to deal with this much better than others? Now, to be able to answer that question, we have to know a little bit about how the brain works. So, to date, we know that different parts of our brain control specific areas of thought and cognition, or actually thought and action, I should say. And there's one part of our brain which is continuously monitoring our surroundings to check for or detect changes in our environment and also to detect signs of danger. But there seems also to be other parts in our brain which actually prevent us from taking appropriate action once it's alerted, once we know that we have to change. So, this process actually only seems to get intensifies as we get older. And this results into then a more unwillingness to want to react or adjust to new circumstances, or maybe even lowers our inabilities to react effectively to challenging or maybe even uncertain or even dangerous situations. So in today's rapidly changing world, change and adaptation has become the new norm. And one's ability to be able to effectively react to this change will be critical to our survival. Now, it's believed that within the next 20 years, the amount of change that we are going to face is going to be more extensive than the changes that we have experienced in the last 200 years. Wow. Now, as a behavioral scientist studying mindset development, I was eager to find out what are these mental processes that can help us to become more adaptive? And what are the steps that we can take to further enhance this adaptive mindset? So, studying the concept of a reflective mindset amongst MBA and EMBA students, I found that it was mainly social influences and personal dispositions. Predispositions that develop through early childhood and through critical incidents in our lives or past experiences that played a major role in one's ability to develop a reflective mindset. I found this staggering. So then I went on and did a longitudinal study to further define what were these determinants. And what I found out was that it was mainly our willingness to bond and work with others. It was a willingness to put group goals above personal goals. And it was also a sensitivity to normative social influences that were the main ingredients to developing a reflective mindset. I thought this was really fascinating. It's not the 10 push-ups that you have to do in the morning to get stronger. It's your social connections. So in a follow-up study, I wanted to figure out, what are the effects of a reflective mindset? And I figured out that a reflective mindset is indicative, besides, of course, being able to adapt, to change, and to perform in times of resilience or adversity. But it was also an indicator of how well we identified with other people, how well we could support and give back, how well we were also to build stronger relationships, and it was even an indicator of a more fulfilling and longer life. And I thought, wow, isn't this a strange scientific finding? How could it be that a reflective mindset is an indicator of stronger and more lasting relationships? But then it dawned on me, the very outcomes of a reflective mindset are also the ingredients of it as well, creating an ever-evolving and strengthening base from which new and improved responses could emerge. Now, interestingly, this reminded me of a study done by Harvard on adult development. It's one of the most extensive studies, longest studies ever conducted. And they wanted to investigate which variables actually impacted a better life or longer life. And they actually found that personal relationships was the strongest indicator of a longer and better and more fulfilling life. So it seems that social bonding enables a more meaningful, longer life through the enhancement of one's reflective mindset. Now, we know very little about the neurological and physiological effects of social bonding. We do know something, but still very little, let alone know what the effects are of mindset on our well-being and also on our longevity. But what I strongly believe, based on this research, is that mindset is not something that only develops through individual effort, but also develops through strong social interaction with various others. So, how can you develop and enhance your reflective mindset? I want to share with you 3 things from my research that I believe are the key ingredients to developing or actually to a more resilient, adaptive, and longer life. The first ingredient is forming. Now, forming is our ability to create or to immerse ourselves into new social surroundings. Those could be organizations, those could be other different kinds of social groups, friends, religious groups, sports, or other interest groups for that matter. Your ability to incorporate group elements into your own self-concept will help you to relate much better to other people. And at the same time, it will also help you to interpret your surroundings from a multitude of perspectives. Now, the second thing is bonding. Bonding is your ability to form strong psychological connections through the process of reciprocity. And reciprocity is the giving and receiving of favors to build trust and more harmony in your social settings. Now, it's interesting that reciprocity is not something only for humans. We see it in primates as well. We also see it in other animals as a way to form strong psychological connections and as a way to also enhance our sense of personal safety through group association. And finally, probably the most important aspect of developing a reflective mindset is serving. Serving or stewardship is actually the opportunity that you're giving to others or a nurturing environment for them to grow and develop. Remember, it's not giving to others is not only helping yourself or helping the receiver, but also helping the provider. It helps to strengthen your adaptive capacity. Now, the beautiful thing about a reflective mindset is that it's something that everyone can develop. It's something that we can develop and strengthen throughout our lives. But if we have to listen to the data shows that the sooner we begin with developing a reflective mindset, the stronger and more beneficial it will be for us. So, lastly, what I want to say to everyone here, based on these findings, is that go out and dare to challenge your worldview. Go out and try something else. Go and have a conversation with someone that you would not normally speak to. Go maybe try on a different profession, for that matter. But never forget to help other people along the way to do so. The journey to a more meaningful, resilient, and longer life, hypothetically or maybe metaphorically, I would say, is like sailing uncharted seas. Let your encounters, your experiences, and your moral compass guide you through it. Thank you very much.